Hey, how's it going? Gaz here. Doing some more tutorials. This one I'm going to do basing your Flames of War Infantry. A lot of the time when you just put flock just flat on the base, I find that these little discs that the infantry are standing on tend to make it look a little bit kind of odd. So what I decided to do is just show you how I base them. Basically what I use is good old polyfiller. Polyfiller you can find B&Q, so on and so forth. You find this pretty much anywhere you'd expect to, right? Just a little bit. These are wee coffee stirrers, good old Costa. Just taking a little bit of polyfiller on the end of my coffee stirrer here, and just kind of placing it in the middle. I'm trying to get it sort of in line or flush with these discs that are on the base that they're standing on. I'm doing the middle first because I found that going around the edges and then doing the middle, it had a little bit of trouble getting it to adhere to the base. Most of the time as well, you'll notice that underneath I've just kind of scored that. That was actually to get the miniature on the base in the first place. That actually helps the polyfiller stick to the base as well. So I'm just kind of smearing this on, buttering it on if you like, try to get it flush with these discs. Also try not to get it on the miniature itself unless you want to go for that, unless you want to have them look like they've kind of been trudging through the mud. But the kind of what I'm going for here is a little bit of an urban look, like they're fighting in Normandy. A little bit more town-based rather than countryside or battlefield or beach, as the case may be. So I'm just going in between all these little bits and pieces, trying to get it as flush as I can. Don't worry about getting it looking completely and utterly flat, that's irrelevant at this point. Just as long as these raised up areas are kind of flush with the discs, you'll be fine. So now I'm starting to go around the edges after these are all flush, and it's just a basic case of just kind of buttering it on. You notice I'm just taking this straight from the tube. Reason being is it dries up dead quick. So the idea is to keep it as moist as you can while you're working on it. So I just take it straight from the tube. Almost done. A little bit to go. There we are. So we try and get this sort of flush. Now this side of the stirrer is a bit of a mess, so I'm going to turn it around so I'll get a nice clean side and just kind of pat that down a little bit, getting it kind of flat because I'm wanting a sort of street and rubble kind of look. Okay, as we got it flush with all those discs, all that polyfiller. Looks a bit like snow actually, so you could probably do this straight on there for things like Stalingrad or Russia. So I'm going to clean my coffee stirrer. Okay, so the next part of this, we're going to take these. These are from the 40k basing kit that you can get from Games Workshop. Just little bits of stone and rock. That's the medium grit, and this is the slate. I've just poured it everywhere, but you get the general idea. This is what I'm going to be making my rubble with. So I'm just going to take a bit of it and strategically just kind of drop it in places that I think it's going to be, and then take my now clean coffee stirrer and just kind of pat it down so it gets stuck into the polyfiller. You can even go over this with a little bit of watered down PVA once you've got everything where you want it to be, so it's not going to come off when you're painting it, because this, as you would expect, is going to be dry brushed with a nice stiff bristle brush. So a lot of the time you're going to find that the stuff's going to come off and you're going to see the white polyfiller underneath. But again, I found a way around that. I'm just making little sort of rubbly kind of piles, roughing this up a bit. Okay, now I'm just going to take a couple of these slate stones I had earlier on and just kind of place them where I want them to be. Just kind of jamming them straight into the polyfill. Try not to put it over the rocks you've already done, because obviously it's not going to stick because of the polyfill touching the rock itself. I'm just going to place that where I think it's going to look good. That's it. That's basically what I'm doing, is just placing them where I think they would be. Like they're walking over some house that's just been wrecked. Yeah, so you're going to have bits and pieces everywhere. Okay, so you can leave it like that, and that's you. Just leave it to dry, and then you paint over it later on, which I'll do in another tutorial once this is dry. So that's the basic idea. Just turn it upside down, give it a bit of a tap. So if any of these rocks are going to come off, now's the time. And there we go. What I'm also going to do, and this is optional, but it looks excellent, I'm going to take me another coffee stirrer and get a knife, a sharp knife, preferably something like a Stanley knife on a board. You don't mind getting cut, obviously. I'm just going to use my crappy knife because that's all I've got with me. And I'm just going to sort of cut me a slice, about a mil thick slice of this coffee stirrer here. Something like that. And then just kind of break it in 1/2-inch sections. Then what we do is get a little bit of super glue. Again, Gale Force 9 hobby glue. Can't go wrong. And then I'm going to take this little bit of wood and put a little blob on the end. And just kind of jam it underneath this rubble that I've made earlier on, and pat it down so it's kind of looks like it's jammed underneath. And the reason for the super glue is just to make sure it sticks while you're building up this little part that I'm doing here. These little coffee stirrers are brilliant for fences as well. As you can see on the base I did earlier on. Got a little standing fence section with it. Looks really good. Get another bit of this and just kind of place it on top. I'm just going to actually put the glue on the base this time. Just kind of build up this little pile of wooden planks. See, that looks a little bit too strategic. You want it to look like it's just kind of falling down off of something. And a straight one over here. You can also go as far as to take a little bit of green stuff and make tires and all that kind of thing. Things you would normally find tearing about if we're doing urban. A lot of inspiration for this base was taken from Saving Private Ryan. I just had a wee look at that and had a look at what they were walking through, and a lot of this stuff was a lot of rubble and a lot of just wooden planks. So that's your base. You wait and you leave that to dry. One thing I like to do as well, just while this polyfill is not quite dry yet, is just go around the edge, because I like to do black around the edges of my bases. And make sure that's relatively flat. Okay, so there's my infantry with my little wooden planks on it. There we go. And starting to look pretty good. And later on, once that's dry, I'll show you how to paint it.